The voice that you are now hearing is that of yours truly, Captain Glenwood Alexander Bain. Most people refer to me as Captain Bain. Some get rather formal and call me Mr. Bain. And of course, my family and close friends know me simply as Glenn. This is show number 12, people. So please, get comfortable as we engage discussions on quite an interesting topic. The transition of the Police Marines Division to former Defense Force. And of course, the tragic aftermath of the HMBS Flamingo. We're going to discuss the transition of the previous Police Marine Division into what we now know as the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, and of course, the HMBS Flamingo's maiden voyage and subsequent destruction by Cuban-made fighter jets. So buckle up, folks, and join us on this sobering and informative revelation into the HMBS Flamingo, before and after. Our sponsors for tonight's one-on-one pharmacy. Listen, people, you want good treatment? When you need medication or anything from a pharmacy, check out my little cousin, Shantia McBride, and a lovely team of one-on-one pharmacy. Fill your prescription at the store or send your refills via the online site, oneononepharmacy.com. That's oneononepharmacy, all lowercase, one single word, .com. The two locations are East Street South and Charles Sanders Highway. When you walk in the door, you'll be treated with utmost royalty and so much respect. Say hello to my good cousin Stephanie when you walk in the door. And let everybody there know that Maritime Matters sent you for good treatment. We are also sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection. That's BMC, that's my group. We provide a full slate of ISPS maritime security services. And thirdly, we're sponsored by Totally Secured Security and Investigations Services. They are headquartered 8 Mile Rock, Grand Bahama. For all your security guard duties or security investigation needs, please give my good friend Andrew Sturrup a call at 819-8944. He and his certified security team will see you straight. That's Totally Secured Security. Again, at 819-8944. To our listening audience out there, it will be remiss of me to go any further and not introduce my wonderful producer for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the insatiable, the man of the hour, and certainly the man with all the power and the controls tonight, the one and only Craig Gibson. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, my good buddy Craig is running things as usual on the controls tonight. You're listening to Maritime Matters, people. On this show, we talk maritime. Maritime Matter airs weekly at 19:30. 19:30 meaning 7:30 p.m. every Tuesday here on Love 97 FM. The purpose of this show? To highlight persons, that's right, people, as we refer to them, Bahamians in particular, that made significant contributions to the maritime in the Bahamas, and to sensitize Bahamians of opportunities, jobs, etc., in the maritime sector. Halfway through the show, we will open the phone lines. The number to call will be 326-8255. Again, the number to call will be 326-8255. Meantime, allow me to revisit some of our existing local maritime matters. I mean, nothing changed, people. We still have the Genting group from Hong Kong with their ships Crystal Symphony and Crystal Serenity under Admiralty arrest just outside of Freeport Harbor. Secondly, we still await the report, the release of the completed report from the sinking of the tanker Tropic Breeze by the yacht Utopia 4. And thirdly, we continue to await the outcome of the investigation surrounding the tragic sinking of the small vessel that took the lives of 39 persons. That's 39 persons while transiting from Bimini to Florida. And thank our heavenly stars, We don't have any such incident repeated since a few months ago. So there, current maritime security matters in a nutshell. At this point, I once again highlight 5 maritime standards of the past, and may their souls continue to rest in peace. These celebrities are, of course, and continue to be, the HMBS Flamingo infamous skipper, captain, we call him skipper back in the day, Senior Commander Amos Rowe, the port controller extraordinaire of all times, Mr. Leon Flowers, the king of sloop sailing. Regatta wouldn't have a name without the name Captain Wally Gray, and of course, our 2 Olympic gold medal sailors, so David Knowles and Cecil Cook. May their souls all continue to rest in peace. They've all done this country proud, and they are the shoulders that people like me stand on today to try and keep things going. And now, on a more international maritime front, I reiterate my views on the current conflict that is dominating the maritime world field. That is, yes, the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And in a nutshell, people, the Russian occupation and control of Ukraine continues, and again, no other country will make a significant attempt to interfere. Russia's strategy has shifted, of course, from trying to overtake the capital, Kiev, or Kiev as some of us know it, and they're now doubling down on control of the extreme eastern region known as the Donbas region. So, again, Russia has retracted from Kiev, and they're now focusing on the eastern end, which is kind of like the closest end to Russia. And they double down, and they're really making massive strides. But we're going to see how it all pans out, but that's kind of like what their strategy is today. Secondly, from a world perspective, the largest container port in the world continues to receive great negative impact due to a COVID-19 lockdown. Yes, China has ordered the citywide lockdown on 26 million residents of Shanghai to extend beyond the initial 10 days. So we don't know exactly how long it's going to go for, but China's not letting up. COVID continued to wreak havoc, and so of course, there's an extension of the 2-week lockdown of Shanghai, which today is the largest container port in the world. We're talking maritime. Welcome to Maritime Matters. At this point, we move to our first break, and when we return, we will engage our special guest for the night. Quite an extraordinary young man. I call him young, but he's not as young as me. Quite an extraordinary young man. I can't wait for the scene. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to enjoy tonight's show. So, as for now, we take our first break, and we'll be right back.
At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart.
Watching the ships roll in, and I want to roll away again. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll in. Sitting on the dock of the bay,
And we're back to Maritime Matters. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I am pleased to introduce tonight's guest, hailing all the way from Duncombe's corporate South Andros. He is a well-experienced, retired veteran Royal Bahamas Defense Force and Royal Bahamas Police Force officer. This cat, ladies and gentlemen, via due diligence, hard work, and dedication, worked his way through the horsepipe from starting out as a police marine, police recruit, police constable, police corporal, through the rank of Lieutenant Commander, Royal Bahamas Defense Force. Quite a massive achievement. An amazing individual that played a pivotal role in the setting up of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force from its embryonic stages. Here sits a brother that has, in true fashion, climbed to the mountaintop, wrestled down the Buddha Dane and chewed on the betel nut. So brace yourself for a highly informative and sobering military maritime discussion. I present to you tonight a true achiever, a retired officer of the Royal Bahamas Defense, my good friend and homeboy, Lieutenant Commander retired David Colonel Duncombe.
Right.
For the Dunks.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yes, sir. So nice to have you on Maritime Matters. I couldn't wait for this because the world needs to know who is Mr. David Duncombe and all the contributions that you have made over the years to this country.
Well, thank you.
So let's get straight to it. Where were you born? I say in Duncombe Corporate. I think I get it right.
No, you did not.
Oh, you wasn't born in Duncombe Corporate. See that? I with my fast self.
I was born in Congo Town,
Oh, you born in Congo Town?
Norman Keys, Andros.
Yes. And that's where you grew up, or where you grew up in Duncombe Corporate?
I grew up in Congo Town
Okay.
on Mount Royal Avenue in New Providence.
Okay, very good. That's good. You know, most people that came from South Andros back in the time when you came to Nassau migrated around that Collinsville area because we did the same thing. We came up and from Kenwood Street, we moved into Royal Avenue and all that is around Mount Royal Avenue, Mount Rose Avenue area. Yeah. So, who were your parents? Close family, friends, anybody that you can...
My parent,
Mhm.
my father died when I was 8, and my mother when I was 10.
Wow. So were you an oldest child or?
I'm the oldest of 2 children,
Oh, just 2 children. Very good.
two boys.
2 boys. Okay. And the younger brother is?
My youngest brother was Lennox Duncombe. He died.
Oh, he passed away. Oh, God bless his soul.
He died.
So sorry to hear that. Yeah. So why did you choose to join the police force? Brother Dunks?
The police force was the only means of living. In other words, a young man who's leaving the force, who's leaving
The island.
home, the island,
Right.
with only the school leaving certificate
Coming to town, right?
coming to town.
Mhm.
So qualifications for the police force at the time was leaving school certificate or PJC. And I had leaving school certificate with all the subject pass.
Wow. Very good. So you didn't have any issues getting into the police force?
No.
And I remember back then you guys even had a height qualification. The height to join the police force was, I think, 5'8" or something like that.
5'8".
Yeah, because I know a lot of people couldn't get in because they were too short.
Yeah.
Okay, now what stage did they change that? That changed back in the
That
day.
is way back.
But was that in place when you joined?
Yeah.
But you were tall chap, so you didn't have that problem. You got him with decorated qualification and decorated height. Very good.
And then you had an exam to take,
An entrance exam,
an entrance exam.
and you matched that up.
Right. I did well to pass.
Get it? Yeah. You didn't have to take it a second time.
No.
Very good. So who would you have regarded as your mentor back in the day when you first came into the police force, for example?
When I first came into the force and was transferred to Central Police Station,
Right.
my mentors were Assistant Commissioner Hannah and Marshal
Was that Douglas Anna or that was a different animal?
Douglas Anna.
Oh,
Not Douglas.
Not, or it's somebody more senior because,
Yeah.
okay, all right. That's very good. And who would you say were people that you mentored? I mean, me and many other people, but people that you would have mentored when you got to the top in the defense force, you got to the top of the rating structure, and you got at that extremely well. I must say, I need to tell people, because when I first joined the defense force and I first saw you, I was so impressed. You know, you didn't know me yet.
No, definitely.
But I knew you.
You have to know me.
Yeah, I had to know you because the way you carried yourself, everybody had to know you.
As Master at Arms,
Master at Arms, that's right.
I set a standard
Yes,
of discipline.
that is correct. So where did you get that? Because, I mean, you was a police marine. Well, first of all, when did you join the police marine? At what point in the police force of your career did you actually move over to the police marine?
I was on as a matter of fact, I never wanted to go to the Marine Division.
Oh, so you was a regular constable,
Yes, and I was drafted.
drafted by somebody in the police marines area, or
No, drafted by police because I was one of the first to go to transfer
right?
to the Marine Division.
Also, when you actually went to the Marine Division, was that when they first got those for
Yeah.
60-foot craft?
Yeah,
So prior to that, they used commercial and different type of boats, or they didn't have a Marine?
they didn't have a Marine Division then.
Oh, so you were one of the first, when they first opened up, you
Yeah.
started it?
Yes.
You started everything. You started the police marine, you started the defense force. Right down to you see some of these things I never knew. I thought you were just a part of the police marines because you met it going on and you joined them. I didn't know you actually have set that
As a
up.
matter of fact, I was on vacation,
Right.
and when I returned to work, I was told that I'd drafted to the Marine Division. I said, look, I didn't join the police force to go to work as seaman,
Right.
and I didn't want to go,
Did you have any sea experience prior to that time?
none whatsoever.
Oh, so you wasn't too familiar with the high seas?
No,
Wow, so that must have been an experience for you. I mean, back then, well, of course, the police had nobody who sailed. I mean, they had nobody because you had no unit until then.
no,
So they just randomly selected people to
Yes.
start this unit?
yes.
And you was one of those.
I was one of those.
So who would have been others that you could recall going in to start that unit around the time when you went in?
There was, Morris Major was the commanding officer,
All right, Mr. Major was overall in charge then?
yeah,
Okay.
and, oh my God, Howard Smith,
Howard Smith was part of that unit?
Leon Smith,
Okay, wow.
Howard Sweeney,
Okay.
who else? And one other person.
Right. So did all four boats come at the same time, or two came and then?
All came one time.
So you must have had a lot of people to run all four of those.
Yeah.
Or they didn't send all out at the same time.
They all got out at the same time.
And where were they docking at that time? Because they had no defense force base, eh?
We were docked at,
Lighthouse Depot or further down?
we were docked by,
By traffic station, eh?
no,
Okay.
our office was at,
Oh, that's where the office was. But the boats never used to dock there.
the boats were docked at, by the shipyard.
Oh, Cinema Shipyard?
No, not similar.
Mm-hmm.
The other one by Fowle Street.
Oh, okay. But not the Lighthouse Depot. In that area though?
No.
I see. Okay. So, and when you reported to work back then, you would have reported to the vessel or to the office?
Once you were crewed,
Mm-hmm.
you report to your vessel
Right.
because we have maintenance to do.
Right.
We have brass to clean,
Oh yeah, keep those brass shining.
and vanish.
Yes, the teak wood and all the rest
Yeah.
of it. Those craft were very well built. They were built by Waspatani craft, as I recall it.
Yes.
And they were very well built. I remember my first command in the Defense Force was the P-boat, but my first 60-foot command was the Elutra.
Okay.
I took over the Elutra from Harvey Sweeting when they moved him up to one of the, I think the Abaco, one of the newer 60-footers. And then I got the Elutra, and well, it made one or two trips, and then I think that was it for the Elutra, because you know the Elutra and Andros was still around. The Acklands was gone, the Sunsal was gone.
Yeah.
When I came back from Dartmouth.
Yeah, Athens
Burned down while I was in Dartmouth. I only heard about it.
while we were transferring her to the shipyard.
Oh, she was going around for dry dock.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I remember that very well. When we got the news while I was at Dartmouth that one of the 60-footers burned down, and the name was Acklands. I think there was a Mr. Moxie. One of the ratings got hurt in that incident. Or somebody may have drowned or during that incident. Or was it the Zetas and Silo Acklands? One of them, a Marine had lost his life. While this was in 1981 while I was in Dartmouth.
No one lost their life.
Nobody got killed. Okay. Everybody survived that.
Yeah. She went right down to the see him? And
Right.
then sank.
Oh, she went straight down to the deck, and then the whole thing just sank.
Yeah, Roger Rowe was on it.
Oh, Roger was the captain.
And Monroe, Scotty Monroe.
Oh, Scotty Monroe. This before the Monica game then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Long before.
Yeah. Wow. So when did you actually learn about the Marlin and the Flamingo? Because you had only 60 footers up to the point where the Marlin and Flamingo was being built. I think they were 103 foot long. So these were the two big vessels for the defense.
Yeah, they were the largest. They were built in Waspatani craft.
The same company that built all the 60 footers.
Yeah.
And these were the largest ones Defense Force had built at that time. And when did you start hearing about, say, was this when the when the Defense Force base was already in existence, or was this still during the time of like the Police Marines?
This is done. This during the transfer.
Okay, so
And they were looking for crew
right,
to crew those two vessels.
right.
And they were transferred to London.
Right. To crew those two vessels.
Yeah.
What was that like? Was that your first time to England, or you been before prior to that?
It was my first time.
Oh, what was that experience like for you?
Well, it's a little because growing up in the island, all you was hearing about England.
Oh, yeah, it was like a dream to go to England, eh?
Most certainly.
And that's what I tell people. I say, when I was told by Commodore Swinley that they were looking for men to send to England to train, that captured me right away, because I never thought I would ever go to England as a child growing up. And well, I've been about 1,000 times now because I went over and over again. But that opportunity really got my attention.
Yeah.
Yes.
That got my attention because my second voyage to England
Right.
was for
For the 108?
the 108.
Okay. So that's when we went together.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful trip. But so how do you compare the two though? As far as the World Cups is concerned, was it similar? Or was the second one harder or more?
The World Cup was similar. The first one was a wake up. The first wake up was hard because we didn't know what wake up was.
That's right, because you were just getting into this
Getting
thing
into
now.
it.
Wow.
And Flamingo crew, the commander down there had to come aboard our ship to see, because the Flamingo crew was so solid.
Oh, you mean Flamingo crew better than Marlin crew?
Most certainly.
Oh, so you was on the Flamingo?
I was on the Flamingo.
Okay. So who was the captain? Was that Commander Amos Rule at the time went for the Flamingo?
Amos Rule. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that Amos Rule is he was the captain.
And the crew
Right. Just gel so well together.
gelled well, and our operation was so smooth the commander came aboard the Flamingo.
Which commander? This the commander of the institution?
At Jamaica.
You mean the British?
Yeah.
So did you guys go to Portland with the Flamingo and Malin, or you went somewhere else for workups?
The Portland.
Oh, it's the same place where we went with Runaways.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I think they had a commodore in charge of Portland when we went there.
Whoever he was.
He actually came on board the
Came
Flamingo.
aboard the Flamingo.
Right.
Because our operation was so smooth.
Mm-hmm.
The crew was gelled so well.
Right.
So we had to come to make sure that the time that our exercise was done
Right.
were correct.
Oh.
Because in 9 minutes,
Right.
we had a real tutorial being,
Right.
a crew on board, and we trained
The man overboard and all the rest of the
all
stuff.
man overboard.
Okay. So did y'all do a lot of firefighting drills like we did with the Runaways?
Yeah.
Suit up with the
Suit up
firefighting
and,
suit,
yeah.
the hoses, charge, go into the engine
Going
space.
through the
Wow. Well, they used smoke bombs so that you couldn't just walk around in there. The
Yes,
smoke would cause
we
you
did
to
that.
have to have on your mask in order to survive that
yes,
smoke.
of course we did that.
It was so realistic. I was so amazed. Any idea why they didn't continue doing that type of thing after those vessels got back to the Defense Force, particularly the Runaways? That type of workup I've never seen prior to or after during my time on the Defense Force.
It was intended to go outside to where people have been doing fire drills.
Right. Oh, yes, that's the other side of the canal.
Yeah.
So what about workup on ships? Like they actually go in and do with a team of people making sure you're doing things.
Well,
Firefighting.
each ship
Right.
did their wake up.
I mean upon returning to Nassau.
Yeah.
Okay. So once a man, you guys did any workup after you got back? I mean, I don't think the Defense Force had anything in place, but similar to what Portland had in place.
No.
Like a team of people coming on board with smoke bombs and testing you and making you do things. And so you think that would have made the Defense Force strong if we had created
Of
such
course.
because I know Lieutenant Commander Bachelet LaFleur always said upon returning from England, from Cowes, from the Isle of Wight, that we need a department called a sea training department, where all of the vessels would have scheduled workups.
Yeah. That was intended.
Right, but it never
It never materialized because of certain people who were in charge of engineering.
Oh, wow. So engineering didn't want that to happen, as far as you are aware.
Yeah, because when something breaks down,
Right.
they sabotage the next ship to get that ship to
To
sea.
use the borrow parts.
Yeah, ball parts in every place.
So that other ship, it was not a good engineering experience in the Defense Force, and someday I want to address that engineering in the Defense Force. Hopefully with the Commodore and his engineering team at some point, because we need to improve engineering. I've been on ships outside of the Defense Force since I left, and I can tell you that engineering on those ships, like the Betty K and the Tropicals, and it's so, the engineer in charge is next to the captain on those ships.
No.
You don't have a captain and then an XO and then a naval and then an engineer. On those ships, all the commercial big international ships you see going all over the world, the captain and then the chief engineer. And then the second, then the mate and the second engineer. They basically on par. So, it's not, you have two teams because engineering is so important on ships. If the engineering break down, the ship is useless.
You see, our base engineer
Right.
felt that they were in control of the engineer on the ship.
Right. That's right. So they didn't even give the ship engineer much of a chance.
No. You see, if I have a breakdown at sea
Right.
on my ship, and my engineer is able to fix my problem
Right.
to get me going, why should, when I write a report on him, to say that he is qualified.
Right.
Why the engineer can call me and he can tell me I have to change it.
Change your report.
Yeah.
They don't want that favorable report
No.
because they have in their mind who they want to promote.
Yeah. And you see, I was a man who lived what I learned
Right.
and teach.
That's right. Yeah, because you was the defense force as far as I was concerned when I came back from Dartmouth and I met you. As a matter of fact, I met you one day. We were on the base for about half a day before we went to Dartmouth. And I met you, and the way you carried yourself, I was like, wow, look at this guy. And I didn't know you yet, right? But I know who he was. And when I came back, I was like, oh, the same, because you was master at arm, and I think there was a point when a seaman was walking across the parade ground without his parade or something, and you called him over, young man, why are you not wearing your beret? And I mean, the way you dealt with him, I started to get scared. I know, I said, what is this man crazy? No, but the impact that you and people like you had on that force, a lot of people wouldn't know today, you know, and they'll see you moving around and they'll be like, oh, he used to be in the Fed. They don't have a clue what input you put into that organization to make it what it was.
I put my all in all.
Exactly. And then that's what I need people like you to come on shows like this so that people could understand it wasn't just people under the fence force. These people did things. They impact.
This discipline is part of a military training.
That's right. That's right. And without people like you, the fence force wouldn't really know better. We'd be like what the police marines was when they first started out. You really didn't know how to go about doing things because you didn't exist. But because you guys were so seasoned, and you came and you basically started up the defense force from what you learned in the police marines, it made the defense force that much further ahead. And from the perspective of discipline in your police training and your police career, as well as experience in dealing with vessels.
Yeah.
Sailing, how you behave out to sea, how you behave in port, how you maintain the vessel. We already, it was quite a few. I remember it was about Mallow, Lil J, Hagen. It was so many of y'all that brought that into the defense force and was able to pass that on to the younger generation because the defense force is a very young organization outside of you guys, and we need a guidance. And for that, Mr. Duncombe, you and I are personal friends, but despite all of that, I thank you. I thank you for what you was, for what you stood for, and for what you did for that organization, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. Okay, so Flamingo returned to Nassau. Where did you work after? Did you work on board the Flamingo for a while before you got transferred? Or?
No, I was placed in administration.
Immediately?
What happened is, Captain Matthew saw the
way you carried yourself.
like I came
Right.
upright,
Right.
and he saw something in me.
Okay. But he wanted you to run the admin.
Who wanted me to come over.
Okay. Wow.
Because every mission major was going, he used to call me.
Right. You was the go-to man.
Go-to man.
Yeah. So when you went to England for the Flamingo, were you already on the base at that point, and then you went to England? Or you went to England, and then when you returned, you started to be on the base?
Yeah. We were all in the Marine Division. And I believe I may have been the last person we selected to go as coxswain
On the Flamingo?
on the Flamingo.
Who was coxswain on the Marlin? Do you know?
Road, Sergeant Road.
Or Sergeant Road. So he didn't come over to the
No,
defense
he
force like you did.
he went back and retired as deputy superintendent.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I don't know him. That's why I
No,
wonder who that person would have been.
Not him. The next role.
But it was a role.
Yeah.
And so all of them stayed. None of the roles came over to the defense force.
That role came over. Who was coxswain of Marlin.
Oh, he came over.
Yeah.
Which road is this? I must know this person then. Did he stay on the defense
Stayed
force for a
on the
while?
court. Yeah. It's MI, the intelligence fella.
Yeah. Oh, so he was in intelligence when he was in the police force. He was sailing.
He was simply a constable.
We used to call him Yoga.
Yeah, yoga.
Yeah. Bless his soul. I remember Yoga died. I can't remember his first name at this moment, and I see why you're still struggling to remember his first name as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh wow, that was interesting. So he was the coxswain of the Mal, and you was the coxswain of the Flamingo. Okay, so yeah, because I remember the two of you all eventually became officers in the defense force,
Yeah.
and did so well as officers as well after running the marine areas for so long. So when you returned, or when you first went to base, what was the complement of the defense force like in numbers? Like how many people of the force are?
We were on our third entry.
It's just that's it. So it was just the police marine people and the two entries.
Yeah.
And the recruits and training for entry 3.
Yeah. We are a mountain.
It was less than 100 people.
It was more than 100.
Because each entry is like, what, 30 people back in those days? Eh?
Yeah, but
So that's 60, and then from the police marine, you were like, what, like 50 people?
yeah, the third entry.
The third entry was they were recruits at the time.
Yeah, they were recruits at the time, but they passed out.
So after they passed, they joined you up.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would make it close to 200 maybe?
Maybe.
That's a small number.
Mm-hmm.
And I see why when I joined when I joined the defense force, entry 9 was in training. And I went off to Dartmouth while entry 9. Entry 9 started in March of 1981. And I went to Dartmouth in April of 1981. That's why I always affiliate myself with entry 9.
Yeah, but you see, they were trying to build up.
Right, trying to get some numbers because we had so many vessels.
And then you must remember, after the Flamingo got sunk,
Right.
we had hundreds of people applying.
I was part of the hundreds because that is what inspired me and many others to want to be on the defense force. Because we want to figure out what's going on, and we felt, the whole country felt that was that Flamingo incident. I mean, I was still in high school. Obviously, in 1980, I was just getting out of high school.
We had hundreds of applications.
Mm-hmm. So how old were you in 1980, May 10th, when Flamingo was attacked? You was around what age?
I was around 52 thereabouts.
About 52. So that would have been what, about 40 years ago? No, you probably was about 40, in your mid-40s. Let's say. You how old are you now?
80.
80?
80.
Oh, hey, brother Dave. You are 80 and you are walking and talking like you are 60 or less.
You know what?
People like me can only dream of being what you are. People can only dream of being what you are in this day and time, Brother Duncombe. Because, most people don't live to be 80 nowadays.
Well,
so I must compliment you on keeping yourself the way you did.
it's only God,
It's only God. But, it's God for everybody. But, look at you. You're going to be 90 and probably still sitting in a chair opposite somebody and remembering all those things that happened way back in those days. You are such an amazing individual. And let me tell you that on national radio. You are such an amazing individual. So here we go. We're going to open the lines because I got plenty of questions left for you. But let's see what the listening audience might want to throw in there before we get into the nitty-gritty of how the aftermath of the Flamingo incident happened. So ladies and gentlemen, we're on Maritime Matters. My very special guest, Mr. David, Lieutenant Commander, retired David Duncombe, Royal Bahamas Defense Force, former Royal Bahamas Police Force, Marine Division. The numbers again to call in is 326-8255. Say again, 326-8255. 255. You can feel free to call in at any point as we go along, and we discussing the whole police marines and what led into the acquiring of the HMBS Flamingo, the attack of the HMBS Flamingo, and some of the aftermath, after effects of the HMBS Flamingo. Again, my special guest, Mr. David Duncombe, Lieutenant Commander, retired. So, Brother Dave,
Yeah. Right on that.
most senior rating when I joined in 1981. What was that like? You now, we got a call on line, I'll go into that call in a minute. You now an ex-police marine in a new entity called the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, and you are the most senior rating. Everybody coming on the training now could only wish, oh, someday I would be a chief or a first chief petty officer and a master at arms, and a few people made that, but back then, you was the first, and the way you carried it, I guess some people was even afraid to become master at arms.
I suppose so.
Yeah, but how did you know about being master at arms?
I never
You
knew.
never saw a master at arms in operation before. You were,
No, but they had a book
right?
which I read
Yes, sir.
and studied, and I saw what the Master of Arms
Should be doing.
should be doing.
And you just took that in and oh, you wore that like it belonged to you.
Yeah.
I must say, let's see what this caller have to say. Caller, you're live on Maritime Matters. Good night to you.
No, Captain Dan, and this is Captain Gio, and I have to be the first to call for hello to my good friend and colleague, and former colleague, David McGraw Duncan. That's how are you, my brother?
I'm wonderfully blessed.
Indeed. Yeah, man, it's good to hear your voice. But just a couple of things. Your been full name is Edison.
Everson Roll, that's correct. Thank you so much, Godfrey, for
And now, HMBS and South Alabama, that was my message going on in the meet. And we did lose in Mark C.
Oh, yeah, that's what I read while I was at Dartmouth.
Yeah, well, I think after it went on, I don't know whether it was before or after, but since I went on, we were transporting some arms heading to Great Star Key.
Okay.
That's right.
So, but yeah, don't you, we had a lot of history, man, and listen, proud of you, the front force is big on the backs of the yourself. You're such a man, and I'm happy to call you my friend.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, Captain Godfrey Roll, for your input, and thank you for calling the show. And we'll just move on, and feel free to call back anytime you wish, my friend. Thank you much.
You know, Captain Roll and I spent 6 months in Haiti.
Oh, you mean? Oh, really? So you went to Haiti as a peacekeeper?
Yeah, I went as a commander of the 4th contingent.
Wow, that must have been a hell of an experience, eh?
Yeah.
So, Captain Roll would have been in charge of that group, or you met him down there, you was in charge of
Well,
the group?
he was in charge of, he worked for the UN,
Right, United Nations peacekeeping, yes.
and I was in charge of the contingent
The infantry group, yes.
of
Bahamians, yeah.
the Haiti.
Okay, that's excellent. So you did more than just sail. You actually saw peacekeeping operation in full effect, and you was actually in charge of all the Bahamians down there doing that.
Most certainly.
Oh man, boy, don't you made a hell of a contribution.
We were in 3 places. Port-au-Prince,
Right, Port-au-Prince.
Mackay, and Jeremy.
Right, Jeremy. I heard those names. I've never been to Haiti. All my years in the Defense Force, I wanted to go so bad, but only the 4th Charlotte used to go down there. After the East Star would have stopped going, I think, at some point. And I was never, because I was always sailing so much, patrolling. I've never had that opportunity, but that must have been a significant opportunity to live in Haiti and provide peacekeeping, and you must have really got to know Haiti pretty well.
Yeah,
By way of
because
that
when I went to the college, my thesis was on Haiti. Will Haiti remain democratic?
Right. Oh, that was what. So you did a paper on that prior to going to Haiti. So you did a lot of research.
Then I went to school
And to the War College.
Law College.
Right. You did a paper. Was that before or after you went to Haiti?
It was after I went to Haiti.
Ah, so you already had that experience and exposure, so you could have readily, yeah, that should have fit in very well.
Yeah, because my paper was so exciting.
Right.
Until the admiral wrote to see how well I did.
Right.
But
That's very good. And it's good that you had that experience. I'm sure that helped you along the way in preparing, doing your research and preparing, because you could relate to what was going on in Haiti,
yeah,
which is very good. Those are 4 heroes that went down during the attack on the Flamingo by the Cuban MiGs. David Tucker, Edward Williams, Austin Smith, and Fenric Stirrup. How well did you know them? You must have known them pretty well as they were in the force.
of course, because I had to know them, because I had to send out recruit lists.
Oh, so you were working in admin, you actually made a
Made
list
a
to go to
recruit
see.
list from ship.
Okay. Were any of them, in your recollection, on board the Flamingo when it came from England to Nassau, or they were not seen enough?
No, they were not. None of them.
They were not seen enough. Okay, that's a good. What about the other 15 men that survived the incident? There was 19 in total. 4 died, the names you just called, and then there were 15 who survived. Do you know of any of those 15? And let me just call the names, because the Bahamians need to know that it wasn't just 4. It was 19 in total, and unfortunately we lost 4, but fortunately for us, we retained 15. As Amos Roll, you said, was on board. Anthony Allens, I'm sure, I don't think he was on board as yet. Wilfred Sands. Peterson James, was he on board the Flamingo when he came down from England?
Yeah.
Well, he was one of the...
He was our chef. He was our chef.
Oh, I didn't know Peterson used to come. Oscar Dusty Miller.
Dusty Miller was in engineering.
But was he on board the Flamingo when they made the voyage from England to Nassau, do you know?
Yeah.
Wow, that's very good. Gregory Curry.
Gregory Curry.
You're not sure if he was on the Flamingo during that time?
Yeah.
Okay, Denzel Clark. Because Denzel would have come over from the Police Marines as well, no?
Yes, sir.
And so did Gregory Curry?
Uh-huh.
Wow. Trevor Sands. Well, he was...
Trevor Sands was one of the first entry.
Oh, he's in entry 1. Okay. So, was he wouldn't have made the position voyage on the voyage from England?
Yes, he did.
Oh, he was there? Wow. So, John Wallace, was he one of the early entries as well? I'm sure he was.
John was on entry 1.
Oh, he's entry 1 as well. So it's possible he would have been on either the Flamingo or the Marlin as well. I'm coming from England.
Yeah, Wiley.
Whitfield Neely? No?
Whitfield, yeah.
Oh, he would have been on board the Flamingo on the position voyage. I mean, because I think Whitfield, he just graduated. No, yeah, he might have. I don't know what entry he was in.
No, he was drafted to, he was one of the crew members.
Right.
He was the dory handler.
Right, during the incident.
Yeah, he went as dory handler.
Okay, and then we have Leo Kirby, God bless his soul, a very good friend of mine, sailed for many years with me. So did John Wallace. We sailed for a few years on the 64.
Yeah, at that time, Leo Kirby was the cook, the chef on board.
Okay, all right. So Peterson was a chef when he came from England, but on that particular voyage, Leo Kirby would have been the cook.
Yeah, then we have Daxon.
Willard Sanders, he was one of
the crew members.
Anthony Russell, A.K. Russell, he was one of the crew members when the incident took place. I don't know what entry A.K. would have been in.
A.K. would have been in the first or second entry.
Okay. And Blue, Mr. Eugene Thompson, my good friend Blue. I mean, all these people are my good friends. I wouldn't let AK Russell hear me saying Blue is my friend, and that's saying that AK was a really good friend of mine. Eugene Thompson, we all call him Blue. He was an engineer extraordinaire in the Defense Force.
Of course.
And so he was in one of the early entries as well, I would assume.
Of course.
Okay. And Cladwell Farrington. Now, Cladwell Farrington actually wrote a book on this incident.
Yeah.
And again, I would imagine he wouldn't have been in Police Marine. He would have been in one of the entries.
Right. He was first entry.
Okay. So those would be the 19 names involved in that incident, and we need to keep repeating them because people in this country need to know that people are still walking around, moving around, that were actually on board that ship while it was being attacked, and they have mental scars, and in some cases physical scars.
One of the hardest thing for me at that time was to send that same crew back out to sea.
Did they send them right back out to sea though?
Yeah.
What?
They sent them right back out to sea on the Marlin.
Oh. So Marlin crew didn't go out, they just swapped the crew and put Flamingo crew on the Marlin?
Yeah. The reason for that was for them to be, although they were traumatized, the only way for them to get over that traumatization was to send them back to sea.
To keep them away from let them kind of catch themselves. So, boy, I guess I can imagine if they came across a similar incident while at sea, that should not have been a good thing, eh?
It would not have been, but that was the customs of the people in charge.
Yeah. And you as a senior Marine, the senior Marine or reading in the Defense Force at that time, how did this whole thing impact you? I mean, you would have seen these young men return. You spoke with most of them?
It impacted me well because I had to speak strongly to Kirby and Neely, who were traumatized.
Oh, they were traumatized.
And did not want to go back to sea.
Wow.
And in the person from Miller and
Oscar Miller, you mean?
yeah, Oscar Miller.
Okay.
President Oscar Miller and Curry.
Right.
If they hear
Gregory Curry and
if they hear a plane flying by,
right,
they got scared. They get low.
They got nervous, yeah. Wow. And that's the kind of impact things like that will do to people. It's so traumatizing.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, Brother Dunks, and I really must say this. I must say this because some people don't understand a warplane attacking a patrol boat is a mismatch. Because that patrol boat is designed to overpower civilian vessels. That patrol boat is not set up. In the Bahamas, we were never set up to fight against another country's patrol boat even, right?
You only had 20 millimeter.
You had one 20 millimeter gun mounted on the bow. And you had to mount that every now and then, because when the sea is rough, you don't want to leave that on. You have to actually physically put that up and mount it. Then you had the 2 or 3 GPMGs that you mount to bridge wings. And then you have the SLRs and SMGs and pistols, and that's it. But a missile coming from a warplane will take away, because you dealing with a patrol boat, it's not a frigate or a destroyer where you would have surface-to-air missiles, the Sea Cats and the Sea Dogs, and the shaft seas and these which you could shoot out and cause that missile to be redirected. You don't have any of that on patrol. And in addition to that, we are not a navy that's preparing for war against another country. We were basically patrol boat protecting our waters.
Our waters.
So it's like you're being massacred by a superpower because you have no defense against it.
That is what happened.
And at the end of the day, those guys were attacked in an unequally yoked situation. Unprovoked, unequally yoked, unequally matched, not a chance in the world because you have no surface there missile, you have no strategy for dealing with a warplane. And you were just left, you had no chance. You either survived through good graces or you died.
And whoever fired that missile knew exactly where to fire.
Those people are trained for war.
So
Those people are trained for war, and they have a war weapon of a mid-jet fighter. That's not even a plane that you would use. That is a missile. That's not guns. They could turn the guns and fire, and I understand they did turn the guns and fire. But we're dealing with a situation where you are totally mismatched. You did never expect it to happen. Nowhere in the Caribbean or in this side of the world where you have another patrol boat or non-military ship attacked by military aircraft. This is, I don't think this will ever happen again, probably anywhere in the world.
The point is, they knew exactly where they were firing because it's knocked out the communication line.
The first thing they do is hit the bridge and the communication underneath. They know where to go.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that's war tactics. Okay? That's actually war tactics. So, okay, so we got a situation where you join a force to patrol the waters, and in patrolling the waters, you have the advantage because you have heavily. You got a cannon on the bow, 20mm cannon. You got your GPMGs, but you got more than any commercial ship would have, or civilian vessel would have. So you have the upper hand, and you prepared and you trained to deal with those situations. But here you are attacked by a warplane, and you don't stand a chance. And nobody else in the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, the Royal Bahamas Police Force, any country in the Caribbean other than the HMBS FLAMINGO would have suffered such an attack.
True.
So what have we done for those? I wouldn't talk about the four that died, because obviously I think Cuba paid some reparation. But what have we done for those survivors that had to carry that burden of impact from suffering such a blow? Is there anything that was done for them at all? Brother Dance? As far as you are aware, as the most senior rating, dealing and working in administration, all the rest dealing with this matter?
As far as I'm aware, as I understood, the Cubans paid the government for the 4 boats.
For the FLAMINGO and the 4 men?
Yeah.
Right.
Other than that, I don't know of anything else our government did for these 4 Marines
Any of
or their family.
all the survivors?
Yeah, all the survivors.
So you don't, I mean, based on what I know, and I may not know everything, that's why people like you got to be able to say, do you think that the 15 survivors received appropriate recognition? And we know that the 4, they had all kinds of ceremonies, and they have it every year. But what about the 15 that survived, and we have already lost 4 of those? So we now have 11 survivors in the Bahamas from that incident, never to be repeated, never happened before. What are we going to recognize these gentlemen?
What I can see, the government can always look out and do, like they give names to subdivision. Why can't we have a FLAMINGO crew subdivision?
FLAMINGO crew subdivision is all well and good. Okay, now we have for example, and this is what I really would like to see from my perspective as a person, really wanting to push, because I knew these fellas, I mean, personally, and if I had to go through what they're going through, I don't know how I would be. But we got what we call a Coral Harbor roundabout. Yeah? And that Coral Harbor roundabout has attached to it 4 roads. You get Carmichael Road, which could readily be named after one of the 4 that died. We got the road that leads to Coral Harbor Base, which could readily be named after one of the 4. The road that leads from Coral Harbor Roundabout to the airport, and the road that leads from Coral Harbor Roundabout to Frank Western Highway. So why is it that we can't just name those 4 streets, or those 4 roads, however long they are, behind the 4 people that would have lost their life without even having a chance of survival? And then we could then look for some other streets to name the other 15. Because these are people that suffer something that nobody else in this country have never and will never suffer. All in the sake of going out there to do their job and try and defend this country from the integrity of poaching, drug smuggling, search and rescue, illegal immigration, and this is what we were trained to do. And in doing so, you go out there and you lose your life because you were attacked by something that you could never ever stand a chance of defending yourself. So, my view is we need to do a lot more. And it's not too late. Sooner or later, all of us would be gone, dead and gone. And they would be like, oh, we should have done more. No, let's do it now. Some of these, we have 11 out of the 19 still alive. Let's work on those 11. Let's try and make life as comfortable as we could for them. Let's do some things like just give them some financial. I say give each one of them $5 million. If you could have $200 million to buy 5 or 6 ships and dig 1 or 2 hours, right? Why can't you use $100 million to take care of these people that suffered such a traumatic experience that nobody else will never have to face? And they all have families. So that is kind of like my view on what needs to happen. And again, the people that already died, the family should have received. Those that still survive, allow them to go in good graces, because they suffered tremendously for this country and it changed their life. Okay, so let's get back to you, Saddams. What would you recommend the Defense Force do today from a perspective of even a rating, as somebody who have gone all the way to the top of the ranks? You have started in the police marines. Anything you think that, based on your experience in Defense Force, could have made things better for the organization from a rating perspective? I know you was an officer as well, but let's just stick to the rating that you basically started and molded.
Right now, I think the force is top heavy,
Right?
in both officers and
Ratings.
ratings. For a ship the size as the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, we don't need 81 force chief.
Wow, that's a lot. 81 force chief petty officers.
No, we don't need that.
And when you was a rating, we had only 1 force chief petty officer.
Okay.
When I joined in 1981.
Yeah.
But okay, 81 is I don't even know if the Royal Navy have 81 force fleet chief petty officers.
Not on
81 is a huge number.
Not on one ship.
So we need to look at revamping
The
structure. It's top heavy. We need to rewrite it.
Yes.
So that
Now, I understand that there are billets for some of these captains that are being organize.
Right. So they're making
So
provision.
they're
of those
making
space.
provisions for
Right.
these billets. But
Yeah, right now it's probably a little much.
yeah,
So what about
from,
us?
from my perspective,
Hmm.
I think it's too much.
Okay, we have, for example, Brother Duncombe, we have Jamaica, which has a lot more people than the Bahamas.
Most certainly.
But they don't have the kind of grounds to cover that we would have
No.
as far as patrols are concerned.
No,
Right? They don't have half the amount of ships I think that we have. We have far more ships than they do for patrolling for obvious reasons because we have more grounds to cover. But that infantry is so much larger than ours. If we want Defense Force to be the top organization in this country, which I think is part of the reason why we have a Defense Force, because we want the Defense Force to take over certain roles and be, you know, the force in the country as far as ships, as far as infantry, and that would call for a lot more manpower. I'm not saying it's going to call for 80 Force Chief Petty Officers, but do you think we should move toward expanding to try and capture thousands more? I mean, right now we got probably about less than 2,000, 1,500, 2,000 people in the Defense Force. Shouldn't we be looking to get to 3,000 or 4,000 so that we can really have a full, not only on the sea, but also infantry?
well, most certainly. The matter of fact, if you look at our defense force today,
Right.
there is no defense force in the region, in the Caribbean, as fit as ours.
As ours, right. Fit in the sense of patrolling, or fit in the
Fit
sense
in-
of infantry, because, you know, Jamaica has a very large infantry.
They have a large
A lot of
infantry,
Green Berets and all the rest of
and
that.
I've worked with them,
Right.
and they have none
Mhm.
compare with our crew.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. We have a call on the line, Don. So let's just hear what this caller have to say as we move along. Caller, good evening to you. You're on Maritime Matters. Thank you for calling.
I want to have to go back.
All right.
You see, way back when I was still answering it before, you know, I made suggestions. You have to open up billets for your organization. If you put a proper base down in Malta, which I always contend was it made perfect sense, because most of the challenges that you experience in the country comes from the south, right?
Correct.
So why not establish a base of the full platoon people there where you can use some of your force chiefs and use some of your chiefs, you understand? And the same applies in the northern you can put one in central as well. Another area that ought to be considered for defense force is to be security attaches at our various missions abroad. But you know, you gotta have those in your countries who think that it makes sense to do that. If you say you have to create, so you won't have 80 forces that you saw when you're sitting in the base. You understand what I'm saying? So you need to think about things like this.
I agree with you, brother Roll, Captain Roll, but you know, 80 is a big number for somebody at the pinnacle of the race. Would you really? I mean, again, I don't even know if the Royal Navy have 80 Fleet Chief Petty Officers, because you know that's a big position. That really, you should have one Fleet Chief for hundreds of people. Not if we have 1,500 and you say you have one Fleet Chief each, you only have 15. So how are we going to fit in 80 Force Chief Petty Officers?
We're looking for promotion. And we know this is one as well. So you have to do if that is your intent. And for you people to stay, and because you have to create jobs that they can be that will be beneficial to the country.
Yeah, I agree. They could do those jobs as chief petty officers or petty officers. I mean, do we want to streamline?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
You can have one Commodore, you can have 10 Commodores.
Exactly. And we may eventually have 10 Commodores the way it's going now, eh?
Huh?
We'll only have one Commander Defense Force, but the way it's going now, we probably end up with 10 Commodores eventually.
No, I like the job that Raymond is doing. So Raymond is the same place job. So let's see what develops. But of course, it would be nice for people like yourself and David who have experience and other officers. I think, their experiences and their advice, suggestions are considered.
I would agree, but I think we should have a map to go by to Captain Godfrey Rule, because we have other forces in the region, we have other forces in the world. What are their numbers like as far as ratings at the top, officers at the top? If we are lopsided, if we're top heavy, we can tell, because we can get a synopsis as to what it should be per 100 ratings. Or per 1,000 ratings, or whatever the case may be, and try and apply that to it. Let's not get totally on the Yes, sir. Well, I always appreciate your contributions, Captain, and again, thank you very much for calling in. Look like you are only calling for the night, because boy, time winding down, and I guess Murphy called me earlier and told me that he's off the island. He'll try to clue. I'm tuning if he can get to his hotel, but I don't think he was able to get there, because that's my key caller, and I'm sure he would have a lot to contribute to this discussion. So thank you very much for calling me. And we're going to move to break now, and when we come back, Brother Dave and I, we're gonna try and wrap up where we are, and hopefully we'll get one or two more calls to feel it out. So thank you for listening to Maritime Matters to this point, and my special guest tonight is no other than Lieutenant Commander retired David Duncombe, a man that really shaped and molded the Defense Force from scratch.
Godfrey, I'm happy to hear your voice. You live not too far from me, and I have no plum tree no more.
Oh, he's got the plumbing. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We're gonna move to our second break for the night.
At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart.
And we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening again. We are in the middle of our Maritime Matters discussion. Our special guest tonight, Lieutenant Commander retired David Duncombe, and we are basically discussing the FLAMINGO, first of all, past, prior to, and after the attack by the Cuban MiGs, jet fighters. And we also discussing the Police Marine Division, as it was the first entity to patrol the waters of the Bahamas from the perspective of enforcing where it relates to drug trafficking, where it related to, or still relate to migrant smuggling, where it relates to poaching or illegal fishing, and also as it relates to search and rescue, because the Defense Force has a lot of hardware. We have a lot of ships, we have a lot of trained men, and we are always out there willing to assist with search and rescue as well. So as we get down toward coming to a close of our show, let me just again once announce who our sponsors are. One-on-One Pharmacy. Again, that's my good friend, my good cousin, Shantia Hill McBride, and a lovely team of pharmacists and pharmacy workers. They're located on East Street South, and the second location is on Charles Sanders Highway. You can fill your prescriptions online, or you can do so at the store, at either of those two stores. And online it would be oneononepharmacy.com. That's oneononepharmacy, all one word, all lowercase.com, and you can get your prescription sorted out ahead of time of you coming. And of course, when you walk in, you gotta say hello to my good cousin Stephanie, my cousin from childhood. She's always in one of the stores, and when you say hello to Stephanie, you'll be very, very happy with the smile she gave you, and she's so warm and welcoming. So just make sure, let her know you sent there, you came there because Maritime Matters was bragging about the great service those guys have. And we're also sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection, where we provide a full slate of ISPS maritime security services. Thirdly, we are sponsored by Totally Secured Security and Investigation Services. Those guys can be found headquartered at 8 Mile Rock, but they take care of the entire Grand Bahama. For all your security guard duties or security investigation needs, please give my good friend, Mr. Andrew Sturrock, a call at 819-8944. He and a certified security team will see you straight in whatever security requirement you may have. That's Totally Secured Security at 819-8944. And as we continue our discussion, I turn the mic over to my good friend. I respect this man so much. I can't tell him enough how he impacted my life when I first joined the Defense Force, and how he continued to impress me with the way he carried himself, his stature. He's 80 years old, people, 80. And you know, it's like he never missed a lick since I left the Defense Force, since he left the Defense Force. And please, whenever you see David, Mr. David Duncombe, retired, Lieutenant Commander retired, please treat him with utmost respect. So Dave, anybody you wish to give a shout out to at this time? Our show is closing down, and we got another 8 minutes to go.
I give shout out to my captain.
Oh, you got a boss?
Who was my boss?
Okay, you give me a shout out to your boss.
Ambi Ambissa.
Yes, sir. Albert and Bristol.
Albert.
And Bristol. Boy, you bring up Ambi name, you know I can talk for the rest of the night on Ambi. Such a Ambi was really my captain for about a year. Well, first of all, when I came back from Dartmouth, I worked on board HMBS Ignago with Jackson Ritchie. This was his last 9 months in the force. I caught his, because he left. I came in April of 82, sorry, and he left at the end of 82.
I didn't get suddenly.
No, he didn't leave suddenly. He did his 5 years. Yeah. But he didn't want to take it, a full career of it. And in the 5 years that Jackson Ritchie was in the Defense Force, you know, he would have made more arrests than all the other arrests put together in the whole Defense Force. That's my view. Because I was in there for a while.
But he did well.
Oh, he did extremely well.
Yeah.
For 5 years, he was a household name. And when he left, I was on board the HMBS Ignago, and with him and Tellis Bethel. And Tellis left, and Bristol came and took over as captain. And I think Tellis went to the P-boat, because Tellis was staying with me by a couple of months. He went to Dartmouth just ahead of me. And Bristol came, and he and I worked together for about a year. And I can tell you that Bristol had skills that can equal any officer in the Defense Force. He could have navigated, he worked hard, he was a very shrewd, intelligent young fellow. He liked to party, boy, made him miss a party hard. But I remember he was your captain when we went off for the Samana, Port Nelson, and Yellow Elder.
Yeah.
And Roger was my captain. But I don't know, I think Roger was still a little better than Ambi though. But let's talk about Ambi. he was a good captain.
He was a good captain. He had a good crew.
Yeah,
Navigator.
We were second to none. Y'all was second to one. I think y'all probably better than y'all. But y'all can touch Port Nelson. As you know. Okay, but he had a good crew. But all of the 108s were good. LaFleur was the best. You can't take anything from Bass LaFleur.
You can't take anything from Army.
No, you can't take anything. Neither Roger. The three of them were very good captains.
Army had.
But I can't let you get away just talking about Andy.
Army had a good navigator in the person of Hurley Bean.
I mean,
And a very good executive officer in the person of me.
you had a very good crew. Now, let me see. We had people like Peter Patton, we had Andrew Hamilton, we had Simeon Sturrock. Our crew was off the chain. I mean, we were leaders in so many ways. And we had Roger, we had myself, who, I was always the best navigator in the job. And when it comes to Ship Island, ain't nobody could touch me. But you guys still had a good team. But all of the 108s, because LaFleur was the fellow who held on from. I mean, I never really sailed with LaFleur, but I watch him. I watch him do some things.
And LaFleur is a man who would give you a chance.
Yes. He would give you a chance, and he would encourage you along. But the things he did, if you watch it, let me tell you what I watched LaFleur do. And I never seen no other captain in the Defense Force do this, right? I watched LaFleur take the Mallet into Georgetown Harbor in the dark of night, doing 20 knots. And he sat to that radar and he gave instructions. Starboard 10, how to starboard, midships, how to port. And I watched him work that vessel around Conky toward Elizabeth Harbor, back up to Stocking Island, and then along Stocking Island and back into Elizabeth Harbor to the dock. And I watch him do it without pulling that throttle back until he reached the dock. And I was so blown away by it. I said, in the middle of the night? But you know what I did on Dulles? When I became the captain of the Yellow Elder, now you know the Yellow Elder was faster than the Mallet. We cruised on 27 knots. We could have done 34 knots on the Yellow Elder. On my cruising speed at 27 knots, repeated what I saw Lieutenant Commander Bachelet LaFleur did. I was on my radar, and you know who was my coxswain? Joe Forbes. And I instructed Joe, and every time I gave him a course, midships, and I basically did the same exact thing, only 7 knots faster. And I don't know if no other officer in the Defense Force ever did something like that. But they definitely got ships as fast as they were. So I think I hold a record right now. But only because I learned from the great Bachelet LaFleur. That one time, and we were going to regatta. Never forgot it. Okay, so we talk about great captains like Albert and Bristol. Of course, Bachelet LaFleur, Roger Rule, Donald Weir, Jackson Ritchie. Godfrey Rule just called. Oh, that's Godfrey Rule called now, I guess. Don't let me just answer this line before we get rolled out tonight. I don't know who this is calling and who they talk about. But if they're talking about me or Batch, they got to be the third person. Maritime Matters, good evening to you.
Hi, good evening. I want to thank you, sir. We will be talking about you. This is Ruby Cardinal Duncombe's son-in-law,
Yes, sir.
Stephen Sanders, and I'm here along with his lovely daughter. We just want to take the opportunity to call in and thank you guys for how well you conducted yourself throughout the segment. I feel this forum is necessary, it's needed. We, as a people and country, should do more to supporting it and hearing more of it. It was very enriching. The history is the man standing before you. You represent yourself very well. I suppose he's sitting now. But I can tell you, for a personal note, from since I known him, after his retirement, I had a living and sitting down and having many conversations. Once about religion, life, and morals and standing on the whole. And I learned, I came to gather great respect from as a person of what he exemplified in his speech and how he conducted himself. he walks and talks it like he lives it.
That's right.
With that being said, I want to just pass the phone on to the door and say a few words.
Thank you. That'll be so nice of you. Very good.
Good night, good night. I'm so happy to have been able to listen to the segment tonight, and Daddy, I'm so very proud of you. I'm so happy that you are a legacy to your country and what you have done throughout all your years of service. And it really is a true testament for the type of person you are in your life, and it speaks to your character. So I thank you for being the man that you are, as well as the head that you are in terms of your career and where you started from to where you are now. And I just pray that you will continue to live a long, healthy life, and that you will be celebrated for many more years to come. And you have just left so much for us to learn from. So thank you, Daddy.
Thank you, and thank you for calling, and we'll have Mr. Duncombe respond quickly to you. We got one more call on the line, Brother Dunk, you can go right ahead.
Yes, daughter and son-in-law, thank you for calling and giving your support to your daddy.
Very nice. We got one more caller. Maybe not. Is that a call, producer? No. Okay. So, yeah, Dunks, the show tonight was extremely good. I mean, I really enjoyed your presence. I enjoy your company. And I'll be calling on you a lot more often now that I know how to find you, because I know you used to be all over the place when you were younger. But now I know how to find you, so I'll be checking on you and again, as far as the country is concerned, you know, I personally learned a lot from you. I personally watched you over the years and learned what you call a moral officer should be. So continue to do well in your retirement. And my brother, it's always good to be in your presence.
Well, it's good to be with you, Ben. I appreciate this moment. The only one person, I must say this, who discouraged me in the force to retire at the age of 60 is Davy Rowe.
Oh, Davy Rowe forced you, so you didn't go to 65?
No.
But you were still so young.
Yeah, but Davy had been, I'm the only person who graduated from the War College
Right.
that did not get promoted to the rank of commander.
Wow. That is so sad. And you know, and we talk about a bunch of force chiefs and we talk about a bunch of captains and sometimes promotion in the defense force and, as you know, the police force are never really going the way they should go.
No.
So with that, Brother Downs, our time is gone. Thank you very much for joining me on Maritime Matters. I'm sure I'll have you back once or twice to talk about good old days in the defense force. So to the listening audience out there, thank you very much for tuning in. And Maritime Matters will be back same time next week, 7:30 p.m. Thank you very much. Maritime Matters is out.